and welcome to Three of Skeins Knitting Crochet Podcast, number 88. We think. I'm Lisa.
Oh, Cryss, that should be our new opening. Number 88, we think. Number 72, we think. I don't know.
We got stuff.
Lisa has a new toy she's really excited about. Oh my god. It's not an Apple Pencil. It's a $20 knockoff. But
that works like gangbusters.
Yeah.
I'm so excited. I'm taking my episode notes with it. I'm so excited.
It's the little thing.
I love a new toy.
Okay, we're going to talk about knitting and crochet?
Sure. Okay. Let's do that. Do you want to go first?
Well, I finished my dress. More or less finished because I wove in most of the ends and then I seamed it, so I still have those, 4 little ends from just the side seams. Mm-hmm. But the dress, it's a dress now. Like, it's got a front and a back, and I can wear it. And, look at her!
We will put in some pictures of her in it.
Yeah. Like, she pretty, right? It feels wonderful. I love this yarn. And we have to put in a picture of Fuzzball, though.
Yeah.
So let me tell you what happened. I washed it. Because, it's, as you can see, it's like sugar white. And so, got a little schmutz on it from me handling it. So I washed it. And when I took it out the dryer, Lisa went to use the dryer. And the lint trap had this huge white fuzzball in it. And she's like, I think this is from your dress. And I'm like, that cannot be.
She refused to believe it.
It was so big. The fuzzball was so big. I was like, let's weigh it. So we actually took out our yarn scale and weighed it. It was 10 grams. It was 10 grams of linty fuzz presumably from my dress. We posted a picture of it on Instagram, but we'll probably drop in the picture here too, so you can see like the fuzz ball, roughly the size of the baby's head for some reason. And maybe it came from my dress, I don't know, but I just think that is so wild.
It absolutely came from your dress. There's nothing else it could have come from.
How could 10 grams of fuzz come off of linen? When I was winding it, I would, the fuzz would fly as I was winding, and, I would get like little bits of fuzz tickling my nose and stuff. So I know it does give off some fuzz, but 10 grams, that's wild. So I don't know. But I have more of this stuff and other colors. So, next time I make something with it, I'm gonna wash it and see. Now, I have this in like a cranberry red. This yarn is called Flax Lace. I have this in a cranberry red. So if I get a giant cranberry red fuzz ball, that will settle this once and for all.
Okay.
But I love it. My dress came out exactly the way I wanted it to. It fits great. It's the right length. And she's finally finished. That is my FO. Woohoo!
What's the final length on that?
I don't know, 20 something inches. I don't remember.
My bad.
I do not know.
I do have one other question though. How many balls did you end up using? Well, skeins.
About 3.5.
Wow, that's pretty good. But it was lace weight, so there was a 500 and change yards.
So it's about 350 grams of yarn, minus the 10 that may have come off in the dryer.
So I keep telling you guys, Crystal is much more math focused than I am. So she said that this dress might only have 35 washes in it.
If it loses 10 grams every time and it's 350 grams of dress, one day I'm gonna just open the dryer and it'll have disappeared. I'm a little worried. I'm hoping that, Fuzz event was a singular incident.
Yeah. I'm so curious to wash it again. I know we shouldn't just wash it for washing's
No, we're
sake,
not just gonna wash my dress for sport.
I'm just like, I'm thinking maybe that was like the big blowout.
Okay.
And that won't happen again, at least not to that extent.
Yeah, we're gonna find that out down the road.
Yeah. Well, we'll keep you apprised and see how it went.
But you want to talk about your project?
Yes, I would. Well, you guys know I've been working on my shapeless tee, aka the Katya or not Katya tee. I can't remember the other name for it. So what I did is I finished the front and the back, and I have provisionally sewn them together just by basting them together, because what I wanted to know was the final dimensions of my armhole. Because, you know, I used the pattern, but I hacked the pattern because I didn't have yarn like what they used in the pattern, so I had to pretty much do my own numbers. That left me with having to do the sleeve. And the sleeve was written out row by row, where it had you do a 2-step decrease process. So every X number of rows, you decrease this number of stitches. And at the same time, every Y number of rows, you decrease this many stitches. And, you know, it depended on you having the number of stitches they started out with.
I
which
used
I
a
didn't.
rectangle. I didn't have to do any of that.
And I still wanted it to be the set-in sleeve because I like the shape of it. So what I ended up doing was drafting my own sleeve first in paper. So I made a sleeve in paper to fit the armhole. So I did measurements of the armhole and then drafted a sleeve to fit that armhole, which is a decent method because now I have a custom sleeve that fits into this particular top. And because I'm not mathematically inclined, I'm sure there is a way. It's true though. I can.
It's a mental block.
I just don't like it.
Okay.
I can if I must, but I don't like it. And I don't speak math. I don't speak math fluently like you do, because I'm sure that if a person was mathematically inclined, they could use slopes and all of that stuff to figure it out.
You mean numbers?
Yes, slopes and integers and
just the number, like
negative numbers. I don't know. There's you know. You know, I never liked those charts that had more than an X or Y axis. When they got to that Z and the Q, I was done.
Okay, sweetie.
So, anyway, I measured my hole and I made a sleeve that looked like it would fit in the hole. So to test to see, I knew it fit around my arm because I tried it around my arm in paper, which was great. So to test to see if the sleeve would be successful, I made one in fabric. And I sewed it into the armhole. And the first one I did almost fit. It was like 2 inches too short on the end. So I just extended the end. And this is actually the second one. I already lost the first one. I don't know what to do with it. I'm sure it's here somewhere. I just couldn't find it. So then I made this sleeve. So now I know this sleeve will fit. I'll put in a picture of me actually wearing the sweater with the fabric sleeve. It was kind of cute. I was like, you know what?
No.
Do you really feel the need to knit this sleeve? I liked it. I was like, oh, there's a thought. So now the next step I did was, and I'm sure for the mathematically inclined, there was a way to figure this out too. I needed to grow the sleeve vertically and shrink it in horizontally. So that meant I was doing some decreases to create this shape in my knitting. So I plotted that out on some knitter's graph paper, and I still ended up having to do 2-phase decreases. So on one row I would do 1 decrease, and on the other row I would do 2 decreases, and that got me the rounded shape that I needed. So now I have 2 sleeves that will fit into my armhole and that fit my arm. And I'm so excited. So I ironed them today. Because I was up, you know what, last night, right? I was like, you know what, I think I can finish a second sleeve. Because the night before, I had done like the border area, which is about 3 inches. And I had started the bind off situation.
I never listened to the Stitch Stevens, Lisa.
I did listen to the stitch demons. It was like, yeah, you can do it. You can do it. So after dinner, I was like, you know what? Let me get some knitting in. So I'm knitting. I'm feeling tired, right? But I'm knitting and I'm checking off. I'm knitting. I'm checking off. And Mom was like, oh, you're up late. I'm thinking it's 11 o'clock. It's 1:25 in the morning. I'm so tired out. And you know, I did that thing where I changed my bed, but I didn't change my bed. I just took the sheets off and washed them. So now my bed has no sheets on it. It's 1:25 in the morning. So I get some new sheets. I put them on the bed and I dive into bed. But I'm thinking, you know, when I'm going to bed, well, you know, at least I was checking off every row. I know exactly where I am. However, and I was like, oh, you only have 5 rows to go. That's fine. Because, you know, the knitting demons, they wanted me to knit those 5 rows last night. And they were whispering about it. But I was like, no. No.
And 12 hours later.
12 hours later. So today, I'm like, all right, I'm going to finish my sleeve. I only have 5 rows. It turns out I had a few more than 5 rows. And I was only checking off sporadically. Because I was really tired. I thought I was checking off. You should have seen my chart. I was like, oh, I wonder where I am. So it turned out that I wasn't checking off as assiduously as I thought. When I looked, I was like,
sporadically than assiduously.
Yeah, because I looked at when I was at 5 stitches, you know, 5 rows from the top. I was like, oh, but I see there's a big gap here. So I wasn't quite where I thought I was. So what I did was, I just counted my stitches. I knew how many stitches I wanted to end with. So I just went ahead and got to that count from where I was.
By any means necessary.
By any means necessary.
Oh.
That's right. By any means necessary.
So your sleeves will be a little...
No, actually they're the same.
Fraternal?
No, they're
okay.
They're the same. I am very happy with them. I am very, very happy with them.
Never listened to the stitch demons.
But look at that, they're the same. Okay, no one's more surprised than me.
The stitch demons say things like, your arm already hurts. You might as well keep going.
That's right. That's right.
Like, the stitch demons are not your friend.
Exercise is good for finger cramps. So what I do have left to do on this top is I'm gonna take out the basting stitches that I did. I'm gonna iron the pieces, and then I will be sewing everything together, and this puppy will be done. I'm so happy about that. This yarn is Lina from Sanders Garn. It is a linen cotton viscose mix, and I'm gonna put it in the wash machine and see how much yarn blows out of it.
Because 10 grams is the record right now.
Yeah, it certainly is. So we shall see. But don't be scared of the knitter's graph paper. If you need to redo your sleeve situation, you can do it graphically, which is what I did. And by graphically, what I mean is when I was doing it, right, and I was trying out different increase and decrease rates, different decrease rates, if the shape wasn't right, I would just erase that and try again. And it's faster than actually knitting the piece and ripping it out when the shape wasn't quite right. Because I was talking to Mom about that, and she was saying, oh, well, you know, she said she was working on something, and she just kept ripping it out when it didn't.
Her neckline. She was trying to do a V-neck.
She was trying to do a V-neck, and I was like, but.
In her Tunisian crochet stitch pattern, and apparently it was a bit of an adventure.
Yeah, and for me, knitting is so slow that if I was making these sleeves over and over and over again, knitting, this thing would never be done. I don't know when it would be finished.
Maybe by next summer.
It may be by next summer, but consider doing, a piece in a fabric. Now, I went with cotton because I had some, and this thing is mostly cotton and linen, so I'm not dealing with a stretch fabric versus an elastic fabric. So I just pulled out some basic cotton we had lurking around and made that sleeve. And once I saw the sleeve fit into the armhole, I was like, okay, now I'm cooking with gas. Now I can knit this using this essentially as a pattern. But that's what's going on in my knitting world.
Well, so now that I finished my dress, I was able to start my next project. I already had like my project plan. I'd done my swatch. I knew what I was going to be working on next, and that's actually what I'm working on next, because that doesn't always happen. So I'm making a t-shirt, and yeah, I always forget something. So basically, I'm remaking a t-shirt that I made previously, just out of cool yarn. I'm actually using the same yarn Lisa's using. I'm using Lena, but I'm using the fingering weight version, which is called Tin Lena. And this is the start of my t-shirt. Yeah, oh, the stitches look good.
Yeah.
But basically, I'm just using post stitches to do like a little faux cable. And I don't think I have enough yarn.
Oh no.
However, what I've decided to do is just not do the cables on the back.
Oh.
It'll just be all single crochet. That'll use a little bit less yarn, and hopefully that will be enough yarn for me to finish this top. But whatever. I have to tell you something.
Uh-oh.
The unpopular opinion. I am not that stressed about lot numbers. If there's little differences in shading, variations in color between different dye lots, it really doesn't bother me. To me, it just lends, you know, that handmade feel to the garment.
Mm-hmm.
So if I have to buy one more skein and it's a completely different dye lot, and there's just like a chunk that's a slightly different shade, that's actually not going to bother me. So if I do have to buy more yarn, I'm not worried about it, and I'm definitely not alternating every row and all that business.
Yeah,
nope.
No.
So it could end up being slightly irregular, but that's fine. But this is one whole skein. This is about 6-ish inches in pattern, so we'll see. I yarn chicken like a mug, y'all. Some things never change.
They really don't.
But it's just going to be a boxy t-shirt, and I'm going to use this green for my armhole edging, neck edging, and the hem.
Oh, nice.
So the idea is that it's kind of like a flower, because the basic t-shirt will be pink, and then all the trim will be green. So it's a little flower top, basically.
Okay.
But yeah, I really like the yarn. It's like Lisa says, cotton, linen, and viscose, and it's very comfortable to work with, and it's soft, and I can't wait to wear it. I cannot wait to wear it. I was working on it the other day because I took my mom to a doctor's appointment, and so in the waiting room, I was crocheting, and this woman was like, "What's that you're crocheting? It's really nice." And I was like, "Oh, it's just gonna be a top." And this other lady's like, "Oh, the color is so pretty." I had no idea anyone was looking at me. I was just stitching away in my own little world, because I was really trying to finish that skein. That was like my goal. And so I was just, I kept like stitching and then checking the skein and stitching and checking the skein, because I really wanted to finish the skein. And I had no idea anyone even took notice of what I was doing. I was a little embarrassed. I felt like, oh, am I a spectacle now? But but yeah, so she's been traveling with me. She's seeing the world. But yeah, that's what's happening, and I'm really excited. It's going well.
And you're even like sanguine about, oh, I may not have enough yarn. Oh, no.
Yeah, you know what it is? It's really funny, because I am a stress case. I am a walking ball of stress. Always have been. I used to get terrible stress headaches in school. Oh my God. But I have been, designing my own garments for a few years now. And every time I make something goes a little off, something doesn't go as planned. I have to figure something out. I have to redo the math. I have to rip things out. And at this point, I've finally gotten accustomed to that. And I feel confident in my ability to troubleshoot.
Yes.
You know, whether it's adding a little onto the side if I make it too small, or ripping something out, or just coming up with some sort of creative solution. And each time I've encountered an issue, I have dealt with it, I've addressed it, and still ended up with a garment that I really, really liked. And so I just have a whole different view of troubleshooting with regard to crochet, but only with regard to crochet. And that is the thing. And I really wish I could transfer that mindset to other areas of my life. If I could figure out how to do that, I will be writing a self-help book that will make me millions. Because when I start a crochet project, I started knowing there's going to be some kind of problem somewhere along the way.
Oh, absolutely.
And I just feel prepared for it in a way that I don't feel prepared for anything else in life. So if I run out of yarn, I'll figure something out and it'll be fine. But it's only crochet where I can say that. I swear to goodness.
Okay.
When I'm cooking, when I'm driving, when I'm, planning my day, or just nothing else goes. Laundry, things I do all the time. I'm not prepared for problems. But crochet, I've just gotten into a real zen place that I can't even explain. Part of it, I think, is that I kind of treat my crochet projects like puzzle solving. And I've always liked, puzzles, crossword type puzzles. I used to do these logic problems. If you've heard of Penny Press, they publish a lot of puzzle books, and I used to love those. But I've always liked those kinds of figure out words or numbers type puzzles. And I see my crochet projects as kind of like these puzzles, these pieces that I have to fit together. Well, how do I get this to be a certain length? Or how do I get this to be a certain shape? Or how do I recreate something that I saw, or what have you? And for some reason, seeing it as little pieces that I have to fit together works better for me than, seeing a whole overarching problem that I have to try to figure out how to solve. I don't know, but it's only in crochet that I can do it.
You know what? If you achieve that zen in one area, you can achieve it in all others.
It's a very specific superpower. I always talk about this stupid show. It was actually a mini series on the Sci-Fi Channel called The Lost Room. And basically some supernatural investigators were trying to do an experiment in this motel room, and they made the motel room disappear from normal space-time, but all of the objects that had been in that room developed an ability. So if you own that object, you could do stuff with it. So there was a pen, a ballpoint pen. If you click the pen, every time you click the pen, it produced a penny. And some of the powers were a bit more impressive, but I feel like mine is the penny power. I will get there eventually. Eventually I can click out $1,000 worth of pennies, but
boy, my thumb's tired.
So I have penny power, and you know what? I'm very happy with my penny power.
It's like penny power,
right?
Yes.
Because eventually it gets me a cute, lacy dress. So what else have you got going on?
Well, I am on the cusp of finishing my current project.
So you want to swatch 4 other things?
I do want to swatch at least 4 other things, but I'm gonna restrict it to one other thing.
Mm-hmm.
I have a skirt planned to wear with this top, so I'm going to, when my top is done, because I'm still holding myself back, I'm going to swatch for my skirt so that then I can, really plan that baby out. Because I'll have a swatch to work from.
Cool. I am getting into the sketch game because I bought my cheap knockoff non-Apple pencil, and so now I'm using my iPad to sketch, and I really like it because I can color in my sketches, and for some reason having the sketches in color just really helps me in terms of visualizing my idea. Mm-hmm. And I can do something on paper and try to color it in, but it sounds crazy. I'm never a good colorer. Compared to other people in my family, oh my God, I have this cousin who does masterpieces with crayons. It's ridiculous. In fact, when I was little, she colored a page in one of my coloring books, and I was prepared to completely claim credit for it, and I was so mad she signed it. But I feel like because I struggle with drawing, and then my coloring is always a little iffy, I'm so stressed about that, about it not coming together the way I want it to, that I lose focus on the actual sketch. But using the iPad, I can still do my really iffy sketches, but then just color it in like super easily, just fill the, each space. And the whole sketch just kind of comes alive. I don't know if I'm up to showing my sketches to people just yet, because they were so wonky.
You can do it. The sketch is not the object.
The sketch is just, I feel like
a visualization.
It's a shorthand that I feel like only makes sense to me. So I feel like if I show it to someone else, they're gonna be like, what's that now? But for me, I'm like, I totally get what I'm trying to convey. And it's that disconnect that I worry about. But maybe I'll show some sketches. I'm trying to do this thing, that like 100-day challenge. I'm trying to do some sketching every day. So that at the end of 100 days, I have, a bunch of garments that I have sketched out, and I can choose from when I want to work on a project. But yeah, we're not up to showing people just yet. But
you know what? You weren't up to sketching. You're taking baby steps.
Yes, very much so.
And that's not a problem at all. I have never sketched on the iPad. I'm gonna try it. I'm very paper-based for that kind of thing. So I don't know. But I do like the idea of having a sketch that I can just print one out if I want to. And it'll be easy to put on.
The Freeform app, which now comes with on your iPad. So I didn't have to pay for an app. I actually do have Procreate. I bought it years ago. Don't ask me why, because I'm not on that level. But I don't bother Procreate. It just has too many options and I get overwhelmed. Freeform is just a blank canvas and you just draw some stuff. So.
And I liked it for being able to just pull in pictures, words, files, what have you. So if I have a project that I'm working on that just requires a lot of information, I can have it all in one place, and I'm not going here for this and there for that.
So that's all that's going on in the crochet world at the moment. Next month is New Jersey Sheep and Wool. Not that I need any yarn. I was doing so good because I was gonna try to not buy any yarn in the month of July. And I really I slipped off the wagon. My foot grazed the ground, but I'm right back on. Okay? Because the yarn I told you all about, the knit and crochet yarn from Joann's, it finally went down on clearance, and so it's basically about 50% off. So the wool, the 100% wool, but no, I think it's 75-25. I think it's a sock yarn. But it's actual wool, no acrylic. It was originally I think $13 a skein, and I got it for $6 and change. And so they had 5 skeins left, and I just snatched up those 5. So I don't think 5 skeins for the whole month is terrible. I mean, yes, it's more than 0, but it's a single digit.
What? It's not terrible.
Right?
It's naughty at best.
At best.
It's just a little
naughty. I already have an idea what I want to do with it. It's a thing I don't know that I know how to do yet, but we'll see how that works out. But
you know what I was wondering about? I think I asked you about it the other day. The other day you wore this wool dress that you made.
Yeah.
How was that?
It wasn't bad. So what happened was the temperature was going down from the 90s to the 80s. And so I made kind of it's like a little sundress. So it has little 1-inch straps and kind of flares out. And it's really cute. But I usually wear it spring, fall when the weather's a little bit cooler. But I got dressed in a hurry and it was there. So I just threw it on. And it really was quite comfortable, surprisingly.
Because I've heard, I've heard tale about people wearing wool in the summer.
Yeah, it's supposed to, I guess because it's breathable, it's not supposed to be as bad, or I don't know.
Yeah, but you didn't look uncomfortable at all.
No more uncomfortable than any other day in scorching heat, but slightly less scorching heat. But Yeah, it was. I've been curious about wearing it in the summer as well, and I still don't think I'd wear it on a day when it was over 90 degrees. But I could definitely wear it like in the 70s. I think that would be completely comfortable.
Or that day it was like the 80s.
Yeah,
and
80s.
Like I said, you didn't seem to be having any trouble at all. You weren't sweating. I was like, how's
Because
that?
the thing to know is the AC in our car doesn't work right now.
Yeah.
So that is the context for this. But yeah, it was fine. It was fine. That one is 100% merino,
and as always, it was like a fingering weight.
Yeah.
So it wasn't the heaviest wool you're ever gonna find either. So
you love my fingering weight.
If you're gonna give that a try, I wouldn't pull out my cable sweater.
Yeah, and it didn't have sleeves, and it's not, the bodice is fitted, but then it flares from the waist, and I try to throw in a picture. It flares from the waist, so the wool wasn't really touching me except like, you know, in the bodice area, and I don't know, it was fine. But I was curious about it, so I was like, you know, let me give this a shot. I knew I wasn't going to be out very long.
Yeah.
And it was fine.
You had me with that one. I was like, oh. She doesn't. I was monitoring. I was like, she doesn't seem uncomfortable.
I didn't know I was under observation.
Oh, you were. I was like, oh wow, she doing that.
But yeah, that's yarn life right now.
Yeah.
She proceeds apace.
She does proceed apace. I am looking forward to ripping my sweater apart so I can iron the pieces and then sew it back together again, like permanently this time.
Like for real,
for real. Oh, let me know if you guys would like a tutorial about how to do this process where you can create a sleeve to fit the hole in your sweater.
This is why I do a lot of drop shoulders. I do not really mess with set-in sleeves because, yeah.
It wasn't bad though. It really wasn't bad.
It sounds bad.
And trying
You
it.
did a paper one, you did a fabric one, you sewed the fabric on to the top, and then still had to knit 2 of them.
Yes, but I knit each sleeve one time. I didn't knit a sleeve, oh no, it doesn't fit. Then rip it out and knit another sleeve.
I know, but you still did sleeves in 3 different media.
I did. That is true. But the paper and fabric medium are so much faster than knitting. Because truthfully, the knitting of the sleeves, that took, I don't know, I would say about 5 or 6 hours per sleeve.
Mm-hmm.
But cutting the paper,
fair enough.
And once I settled the paper, cutting the fabric didn't take that much longer either. Mm. So in the time that I made 2, let's say it took 12 hours to knit 2 sleeves, I could have made, I don't know, 30 fabric sleeves, 30 paper sleeves. So once I had the correct dimensions, I had something I could knit to. Mm-hmm. You know, and that was really the crux of it for me.
Okie dokie.
It's like, girl.
I'm going to be a drop shoulder girly though.
I like having choices and options.
Yeah.
And I'm doing this exploration right now about how to use whatever pattern I want.
Right.
You know, whether it was written for my size, whether it was written for I want to also use the yarn I have. Mm-hmm. And I don't want to be in that place where, oh no, I need to find, you know, what is that weird weight? I need to find an Aran weight yarn in border collie and unicorn wool. You know?
You're an idiot.
I'm just saying,
You're
though.
an idiot.
I'm just saying, sometimes it gets real specific.
Okay.
And I want to release myself from those kinds of limitations. Because I don't necessarily want to start from 0, mm-hmm. but I want to have the option of saying, oh yeah, I think that would be cute on me.
But you talk about wanting to design your own top. Are you still like interested in that?
Actually, I am interested in that. It's just that it got pushed down in my queue because my head got turned.
Okay.
It did. It did. It just got pushed down on my cue. My head got turned like, oh, that's cute. And now I'm obsessed with making this skirt. And then I have a duck sweater after that. So,
Yeah.
you know, I have a cue. You know. What can I do? I got a cue. But yeah, I want to be kind of released to do whatever pattern I decide to do. And it's gotten me to a place too where I need to look more specifically at my own measurements, because one of the reasons I did do this sleeve was the way the pattern was upsized, the armhole is super big.
Okay.
And I felt it when I was knitting it. I was like, should this be this long, really? And when I tried it on, I was like, oh, okay. You know, it seemed right, but when it's much longer than the measurement actually, the measurement should be from my shoulder to my armpit.
Right.
And it's so much longer than that. So I had to make a great big sleeve to fill up that space to begin with. But I think that's also a flaw in the pattern.
Right.
Because once it got sized up, they just kept making it bigger and bigger and bigger. And just because you're a bigger person doesn't mean, you know, your armhole is like extra far away from your shoulder.
This is true.
I'm like, well, golly gee, we still have a human body plan, you know? So that's something I'm going to be looking at in my next couple of makes, really comparing the schematic to my actual physical measurements, especially in places like this.
Right.
And V-necks, some necks are going to be too wide because they just made the whole thing bigger. Like my neck is this wide and it's just neck width. You know? So those are some things I'm going to be working out, especially when I work from patterns that are just average size patterns sized up. And people on the other end, the real petite people, are going to have similar problems because they're going to start with whatever average size they started with and then just scale down. And things can go weird once you get out of the average sizes. But anyway, that's what I'm thinking about, and that's what I'm looking at for the next couple of things I make until I draft something that's just based on me. Cool. I think that's it for me. You got anything else?
No, I'm good.
Thank you so much for joining us. Please like and subscribe. And like I said, let me know if you want to see a tutorial for how to draft your own set-in sleeve.
They wanted to see the tutorial.
Have a great week, everybody.
Stay stitching.